Yeah, it's a bit of a can't beat 'em, join 'em thing. I think a lot of the fear has gone away of like it's going to replace me. It's now being seen as this is more of like a compliment to me. Um, and even, I mean, the tool for us is kind of just a start. Like we could, potentially see other applications of us using the AI to provide clients with faster auditions and things like that, super down the road. But yeah, it's definitely seen as more of a helper and not, taking things away.
Synthedia.
So, hi everyone. My name is Dylan Richardson, and I'm the Senior Manager of Product Development at Voices. I lead our 4 product teams that focus on different paths of our user journey on our platform, and I'm currently leading our product efforts to enter the AI voice space. So, just a little bit about Voices. We are a platform that serves as a two-sided marketplace, and we cater to both clients and talents. We're the #1 marketplace for voiceover services, and we provide a space for connecting clients with skilled voice actors to find the right voice for a wide range of projects. These can include commercials, online videos, e-learning materials, audiobooks, animation, and much more. In terms of our vision, um, it's a long-standing one, and it's to make the world a more positive and accessible place through the power of voice. Recently, we did make a small change to our vision, and we used to say human voice, but of course, in the growing space of AI, we decided to just say voice. And while we aim to enter the AI space with human-like voices, we want it to be a bit more broad as we move into a platform where you can work with talents with a natural voice or a clone voice. We know that we obviously have a lot more to offer than just natural voice to achieve our vision. So the question we asked ourselves is, how do we do that? And today on the platform currently, you'll see we have 2 main paths for finding the right voice for your project, and that can be posting a job or buying a package. So I'll quickly run through those, but the focus today will be on our new path, which is going to be downloading an AI voice, and I'll talk about how that differs. So the first path is our most common path, and that's posting a job. And the client will post a job, the talent will then audition after they've been invited, and then they will select and pay the talent, and then the talent delivers finished work. The other path is where we have packages, and that's where a talent can list packages that are preset prices for preset work. And the client will then select that talent and pay them, and then the talent delivers final work. And in the AI path, how this is obviously different is that once a talent has completed their voice clone and provided pricing for their AI voice, no other work is needed from the talent. Everything's done instantaneously. So they can just passively receive income for the purchases that clients make. And we don't just want to be a platform that focuses on providing AI voice. We have a really unique opportunity having the largest database of professional voice actors. So we can play into that and offer AI as a complement to our existing natural voice product. So another question we had to ask ourselves is, are clients ready to embrace AI? So we did a trends report, and when asked, we found that clients are already using AI voices, citing speed as their top reason to do so, and they're ready to do that on voices. You'll see some stats here, and these stats are more are available in our trends report, and it's called AI in the creative industry. If you're interested in checking it out, you can scan the QR code at the bottom of the screen. So you'll see some really cool stats that came out of our research and gave us the confidence in moving forward with providing an AI solution on our platform. The first one being that 41% of clients are already using an AI voice or text-to-speech software to create voiceovers. The second one was that 44% of clients said speed was the main reason for why they would go with an AI voiceover solution over a natural voice. And then lastly, the 61% of our clients would consider using an AI voice for future projects with us. This here is an AI matrix. So when looking at the AI space, we really wanted to see where we'd like to focus the most on our platform and where we see the space going. Our CEO loves a good matrix, so he developed this chart, which uses the scale of how many words are in the project and if the project is more informational or emotional. So on the bottom left-hand side, you'll see AI voices are encroaching on projects that have few words and are purely informational. So these are things like video narration and telephone recordings. And then on the bottom right-hand side, you'll see that AI voices are also addressing projects that have many words, but may not be as economically feasible for voice actors. Over time and rather quickly, we see the potential for AI voices to become much more emotional and start competing in that space as well. So then the next question, what about our talent? So we did check in with our talent community, and the sentiment for whether or not they were ready to be a part of AI has definitely changed over the years, with more and more interest every day. And obviously this doesn't account for all of our talent, and we want to respect that. Our talent will have the choice in whether or not they wish to provide their AI voice. But for our initial AI project, we're only starting with a very small amount of our talent pool. Overall, talent are recognizing that the space is evolving and they want to be a part of it and not fall behind it. And the last quote here from one of our talent is that they want to be at the forefront of ethically orchestrated AI. I'll speak to that a little bit more in the next little bit as we get into our demo. So the last bit here is just around the 3 C's, and these are really important for us in the AI space. The 3 C's are consent, credit, and compensation. And consent really means that talent will know how their voice is being used and that they give consent to do so. But they'll also give consent on what types of words they do or do not want to have generated with their AI voice. Credit means that the client will know the talent's name behind the AI voice, and compensation means that the talent will be paid for their voice, and they currently have the ability to set the price for their AI voice depending on whether or not a client selects a broadcast or a non-broadcast category. And then lastly, I'll just kind of speak to this and we'll get to it more in the demo, but we're really making sure that we protect our talent with content guidelines and providing them with personal controls over the words that are generated by their voices. So without further ado, let's take a look at a demo. Okay, so here we have a profile of Maxwell Glick. He's a professional voice actor on our platform. And this is his profile. You'll notice here, because Maxwell has provided an AI voice, that we can try his voice out. So we'll do that here. And then once you enter the studio, you'll notice the first thing we ask for is a category, and we ask which category best describes how your voice will be used. The first 3 here are ads, which would end up resulting in a broadcast license, and the rest are what would be considered non-broadcast licenses. And we do say we assign a licensing based on category selected. In this case, I'm just going to select a non-broadcast license, which would be video narration. And then we'll put in a title here for our project. It starts you off with just like a script that you can use to preview right away. But for today, we have a nice script already for Max. And we'll go ahead and preview that. In the meantime, I'll just kind of take note to show you up here. You'll see the number of seconds and the number of words and how much it's going to cost, just while that audio is previewing. And when you're ready, you can continue to download. If you need to add more text blocks, you can also do that here.
Welcome to the AI Studio. Thanks for those joining us today at Synthedia, the conference that covers generative AI applications and demos. This is the voice of Maxwell Glick, a professional voice actor. Right here on voices.com. This is a beta version, so my voice might sound a little different in the future, but we think it's a really great start.
Awesome. Okay. So I want to show you a couple of controls here that we have in place. One of them being speed, the other one being pause, and the last being pronunciation. So I think it actually did a pretty good job saying Synthedia, but just to show you the capabilities, you can highlight a word at any time and it'll add it here, and you can choose an alternative pronunciation. So we'll just say that, and then I'll save it. And you can also take a look at any time at all the pronunciations that you have saved here. If you don't like one that you've entered, you can delete it. But that's now been added, so the next time we preview, we'll hear it in a different way. And then I also didn't like how it had kind of just jumped right into saying applications. It didn't feel like there was enough of a pause. So we'll just add a pause there. And maybe we'll add a pause here as well, just so it adds a little more of a break between the sentences. And then we can re-preview it. At any point as well, we can change the title of our project or change the category from broadcast to non-broadcast, and that will affect the talent's pricing that you see here.
Welcome to the AI Studio. Thanks for those joining us today at Synthedia, the conference that covers generative AI, applications, and demos. This is the voice of Maxwell Glick, a professional voice actor, right here on voices.com. This is a beta version, so my voice might sound a little different in the future. But we think it's a really great start.
Awesome. So I think that sounded a lot better, a little more natural with the pause. Yeah, so at this point, one other thing I wanted to show you, which is really important, are the controls we have in place. So since this is a live demo, I did add a unique word that on the talent's end, they would say, I don't want this to be used in my script or to be previewed or to be downloaded. So I had to choose a unique word that nobody would actually use. So I'm going to say, I don't want this unique word to be used. And you notice the continue to download button disabled. If I were to try to click that or click preview, it's just going to tell me that the script contains words or terms that the talent has excluded from their AI voice or violates voice's terms of service. And it lets you know the word that was used there that the talent doesn't want you to use. At that point, it's up to you. You can kind of click here and switch to another talent and pick someone else, or you can remove the word. And if you do that, you'd be able to move on and all is good. So we'll do that. Let's actually get rid of this whole sentence. And I'll show you what it looks like when you go to continue to download. Today, hopefully. There we go. And here we go. Now we can see Let's Hire Maxwell's AI voice. It's showing the category, the non-broadcast license, and that's in perpetuity, and the number of words. If this was a broadcast license, it would be, for now, locked to a 1-year license nationally for radio ad and television ad. And for online ad, it's worldwide for 1 year. The number of words, what that subtotal comes to, the processing fee, and we can confirm the order. Once this is done processing, it'll take us to the landing page, thanking us for using the AI Studio. Files are automatically ready for download, so I can download that here. We can go back to Maxwell's voice. We can view the job, which is a record of this transaction as part of all of our other jobs on our site. And you can also choose to work with Maxwell Glick directly, go back to his profile, invite him to a job, etc. So yeah, that concludes the end of my demo.
Hey, Dylan, that's great. It's really interesting just thinking about what you just showed. Over the last several years, we've seen a significant improvement in the quality of synthetic voices. And, Maxwell's voice, I think it was really sharp and sort of depending on what you're listening to and stuff like that, like how lifelike it means. There's a lot of emotion in there as well, which I thought was really interesting because it's just naturally in there. You didn't have to go through and configure it a lot. Mm-hmm. But as I was looking through this and I was thinking about what you just presented, it strikes me that the policy and process elements might be the most important thing here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big thing with us and the big thing that's differentiating us is we're not stock voices. None of these are stock voices. They're all real talent, real professional voice actors. And, they're all a big part of the voiceover industry, and we want to make sure we protect that. We've been around in the space for a long time. So yeah, even providing different pricing for broadcast versus non-broadcast, that's a big leap. It's something that's different, something we're trying to start the trend in. And providing controls around, yeah, you can use my voice, but I don't want you saying anything that might have to do with a political party that I don't agree with, or I don't want you saying anything that has to do with this company that I worked with previously and I have an NDA, so you can't use this competitor's name. So really just giving them some controls that are able to show them, that they have that flexibility and control. And even after someone purchases as a client, they actually can see the downloaded output. They can see the script and everything that was used at that point. So yeah, it's really cool. We're really happy to provide that level.
Yeah, I like that 3 C's methodology you laid out: content, consent, and compensation. So you mentioned the compensation, right. You mentioned the consent. And I think a lot of people don't consider this in terms of different voice talent. It's one thing if they are just being hired directly, they review the script and say, oh, wait a second, I've worked for Hasbro in the past. I can't work for Mattel, right? And maybe they didn't know that was going to be something that was going to be brought up or could be some topic that they don't want to personally speak about. And if you create a fully automated system, you have to have a way to account for that because there is not a human in the loop. So you have to have all these rules built in.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll have to see how it goes. I mean, we're giving those controls and that flexibility. There may be situations that come up where it's like, oh, I didn't have this word. I forgot to put this word in. It's like, okay, well, it's been downloaded. So then how do we handle that? But yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is obviously you're a big marketplace. I guess you're the biggest marketplace in the world for voiceover talent. So you come across all of these different roles. We see a lot of people who are entering the space and selling stock voices or allowing people to like clone their own voice or something like this. This is like just a very different business model. This is like an enterprise purchasing, professional service provision solution.
Yeah. Yeah. And, one of the other things that I think are really different with us right now is we're not doing a subscription model. Not to say that we won't ever, but we're trying to start off with, again, catering to these enterprises where it's more of on a per project basis. We're also doing a model where it's per word, not per character. It just feels a little more natural. Most people thinking like, how many words do I have? Not how many characters do I end up with?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really taking the human element approach on both sides. It's like there's a human that you're working with, and you're a human who's using the AI tool. And yeah, even in terms of the voices, like as you were saying with Maxwell, his voice is sounding really good. We're actually in the process of hearing a new enhanced model, which like completely blown us away. It's getting to the point where it's, arguably indistinguishable. There you could kind of tell some differences, but it was still probably, good enough for certain use cases. I think we're starting to enter a space where yeah, it's going to be kind of indistinguishable. So pretty cool.
Yeah, we did a study, I think it was 2019, where we had 250 or 300 people who actually reviewed a series of human voice recordings and synthetic voice recordings. And even back then, there was a significant portion of people would label the synthetic voice as human, and the human voice is synthetic. In fact, what we had was almost half the people at some point or another would say that a human voice was synthetic. And part of that is just because we're so used to hearing things now that are robotic, but sometimes it's just the way the audio processes and like digital audio processing and things like that. And that was, 4 years ago. The tools are much better now. And so, I think it was also really interesting that the talent I really found was very resistant to this idea, even just a couple of years ago, because they felt like maybe this was going to take their job. But, I was really interested to see that so many were now interested in, potentially doing this because I think the quote there was, it expands my market. I can only do so many per week, so many per year, but it expands my market, not just in terms of time, but also you can deliver it at a different price point than if they have to like do the studio recording themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's even, so it's kind of like the passive income I want to earn when I sleep, these sorts of things. And that's possible because, different parts of the world when you're sleeping, you could instantly do some work, not have to catch it the next morning. We've also heard there's just certain things that aren't worth, they say, aren't worth the talent's time when they're trying to, they've got so many things coming at them. They want to kind of prioritize some of these bigger jobs with bigger clients and things like that. Now their AI can kind of do that for them, which is also, another really cool stream that a lot of talent are considering. And it's a bit of a can't beat them, join them thing. I think a lot of the fear has gone away of like, it's going to replace me. It's now being seen as this is more of like a compliment to me. And even, the tool for us is kind of just a start. Like we could, potentially see other applications of us using the AI to provide clients with faster auditions and things like that super down the road. But it's definitely seen as more of a helper and not, taking things away.
Well, and you have different types of talent on your marketplace. You have people who are full-time professional voice actors. You have other people who are part-time, very occasional. They'll do it if it comes up, if it works with their schedule and all these other types of things.
Absolutely.
I have a feeling that the full-time folks who are doing this as a living, this is just pure expansion for them. And they're going to do, a certain amount with human voice recording, which they might actually be able to raise their rates on. because you have this sort of lower tier. Now there's like something to compare it against. And then you have the other folks who are more the occasionals. Maybe they'll do better actually just having an AI voice of themselves that they can just work on, because it's supposed to be a part-time thing for them anyway. It's supposed to be supplemental, and they can do a lot more. And, once they start to figure out how to present themselves as effectively as possible for different use cases, it might actually be much better for them. No time on their part, and income.
Yeah, that's a really cool point. When we think about our talent on our platform, one of the biggest things we always think about when we're making decisions is that the talent are free to kind of run their own business, how they want to run their business. We don't try to interfere with that. We're providing a space. So like you said, when you said a tool, that's providing a tool. I really think of it like that. It's another tool for them to help run their business. Just like anybody using any AI solution, everyone's using AI to help run things more effectively. Not completely get rid of something. So yeah, it's a cool tie-in.
Well, the other thing I'm actually thinking, obviously we live in an era of an explosion of video content. And there's a lot of that video content today, which might just have a voiceover, but a lot of it's just visual with words on the screen, some sort of talk track that shows up, different messages or something like that. And as we generate more and more video, I suspect the easy access, and particularly the speed, the turnaround time, and the ability to customize more effectively, because a lot of people don't think about this, but obviously you've got Maxwell, he does this thing. Well, what if I want 20 versions of that? Maybe the first 7 or the first 35 words are the same, but then it's like, shout out to Albuquerque, shout out to London, or something like that. They can do that much more effectively, much faster. And so it might lead to actually just a lot more use of voiceover talent, whether synthetic or real, than we would have had otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit of a volume play at that point, right? I mean, the value of voiceover right now for, you look at like a 30-second spot, it can be quite expensive. And I think there was also a lot of fear that, it's now going to be like $70 as opposed to $500. But imagine it's $70, but it's that times like 500 for like all these different city names, or all these different, I mean, even down to personalization of somebody's name. That's
a perfect example. Like, you might normally make 500 for this, but now they're going to do $70, but they're going to do that 10 times because, $500, $700 is basically their budget anyway.
Right.
As opposed to just thinking of it as a pure cost play. Now, I believe this program's in beta right now. So limited number of buyers, limited number of talent. How do people get involved in this? How do they reach out to voices and say, I want to be part of the beta program?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is like a beta right now, closed beta. We are looking at fully launching it in September. So everyone will have access to it then, no matter what. If there is anyone really specifically interested in seeing that, I'd have them reach out to like feedback@voices.com. And I'm sure we can do something to add them into one of our upcoming closed beta groups. We'd love to have you in there. But really excited for the full launch when we get there based off of the feedback from the beta.
Bill and Richardson, this has been great. I'm really happy that you came out today and you just emphasized this point that it's not just about the technology. It's about integrating with the policies, the practices, the processes of the industry. And in fact, that software wrapper around the technology for a lot of use cases is going to be just important or more important than the underlying quality of the technology.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Synthedia, the business and technology of generative AI. Generative AI, synthetic media, large language models, image generators, virtual humans, voice clones, deepfakes, ChatGPT, and more.